There is something you all should know about me. I am a man who craves glory, and if it requires some punishment, well then at least kiss me first. Whispers of the New Ways is a gameplay mod for Final Fantasy VII Remake making various changes to the combat. The level cap has been increased to 99 and even the mod's uploader Konker highly recommends you reach it. Character health has been tweaked, some materia has been buffed or just outright swapped, instant magic activation regardless of tier, fire, blizzard, and lightning are now lumped together with its higher levels being separate materia, equipment and materia slot adjustments, characters that aren't being controlled gain ATB at an increased rate, and speaking of ATB, some moves do not cost ATB at all, making it more combo friendly but has a reduction in damage. This makes moves like Braver free to use but is completely useless now due to its long startup and piss poor damage output. With these new parameters, I wondered if I was skilled enough to beat this new mod on hard mode. For those who don't know, hard mode increases enemy health and damage and is both a skill and knowledge check for the player. Items cannot be used, so I can't keep sucking down health potions and ethers, but the biggest gut punch of hard mode is that MP is no longer restored at benches, which severely nerfs magic spam as you may need that precious MP for defensive and healing spells. But the Whispers mod does grant 1 MP every 2 seconds in combat and 1 MP every 20 seconds outside of combat.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I tested the mod before fully committing to this challenge run and well, it's challenging alright! The enemies took a bit more of a beating than normal mode for sure, but it was definitely manageable. So I wasn't expecting too much out of the Scorpion Sentinel until I assessed him, and why does he have over 220,000 health? Unfortunately, I was only doing an ant's dick worth of damage, so couple that with the fact that his last phase activates his auto repair, and victory was as impossible as Nintendo going 1 year without showing how badly they hate their fans. And yes, my save file did already have most folios through chapters 1 through 9 already, but for those chapters, defeating all bosses and side quest bosses was the main goal. And because I'm a masochist, I wanted to see if I can do this with less than 10 game overs. But if I was going to do this challenge, I needed a better strategy for every boss ahead in the game, and stronger characters, which just wasn't in the cards in this timeline. So after I did a small 10 level grind to be better prepared, my characters were now breaching level 70. There, I delved into the timeline where this challenge may be beaten. Our story begins in Midgar, the city of Mako where construction was more prominent than New York City, and vegetarians are shot on sight.
What the f***'s a vegetable?
In this city, the people were happy. We can't have that, so that's where our protagonist comes in. This is faithful Japanese dub Cloud Strife. The ex-soldier mercenary with a black spiky mullet and the scar that makes the ladies swoon.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
He's here on a mission for the vegetarians and hippies to commit eco-terrorism with Avalanche, alongside the most green-friendly hero of all, Master Chief himself, leading the charge. Apparently, he was tired of constantly needing a weapon, so he just got one grafted onto his arm. Along with us is Wedge, Charlie Sheen.
No, man, I was banging 7-gram rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll. I have 1 speed, I have 1 gear. Go!
And a 2B cosplayer. Down into the reactor's core, Master Chief peer pressures us into planting a bomb or risk being called a pussy. Luckily for us, our masculinity is secured with the arrival of the Scorpion Sentinel. The challenge has officially begun. The Scorpion Sentinel is weak to lightning.
No shit!
So by infusing our weapons with lightning damage, it grants us some well-needed additional damage. You see, in this mod, because Element C is just fire, blizzard, and lightning all in one, the base elements vary depending on the proficiency of the materia, meaning basic has fire, advanced has ice, and master has lightning. Now, while the mod did increase our movement speed and dodge distance to that similar to Rebirth, the Scorpion's missiles still do decent damage even on blocked hits and are almost impossible to avoid in its entirety. So we activate the Chief's lifesaver ability to share damage received. I fully acknowledge that if I gave Chief Wrecking Ball, he probably could out DPS Cloud, but he's just so goddamn slow, so AoEs would be awful to escape from, even with the mod's increased walking, running, and dodge distance. So Chief was the support while Cloud would get up in the Scorpion's ass, both figuratively and literally. Whenever he would jump on the walls, a good Thundaga was enough to stop the missile barrage from coming, saving us from having to heal. But the big trick to this fight and boss fights going forward was understanding limit break consumption. Limit breaks are great for 4 things. Number 1, a lot of damage. Number 2, pressuring enemies. Number 3, stunning enemies out of special moves. And number 4, invincibility during the limit break's duration. While we naturally want to inflict as much damage on the enemy as possible, we still had to be conservative in this limit break recession. You receive limit gauge by taking damage and staggering enemies. However, only the person that got the hit that caused the stagger receives a boost in their limit gauge. For his last phase, it activates its auto repair function, which does roughly 3% of total health regen, meaning it was healing for over 6,800 health every 5 seconds, meaning it's possible that it could get to the point that I just couldn't outdamage it. Luckily, I was prepared. Once the Scorpion's auto repair goes into effect, we do something that Souls fans would have my head for: summon help. With Ifrit causing additional damage and pressure, it helps by offsetting any health that was being regened. Taking out Scorpion's legs would pressure it, but we couldn't take them both out at once or risk losing the window to pour on enough damage to out-heal it. Chief gets his limit by staggering Scorpion, and we immediately use it to get the most out of it. By this point, the Scorpion is hanging on by a pixel, leaving Ifrit to get the final blow with a Hellfire. 1 boss down, 21 to go. The Scorpion Sentinel may be gone, but the tantrum he left behind was still a big problem. I thought eco-terrorism was supposed to be fun, but it just wasn't worth the tinnitus from all these explosions. We barely managed to escape the reactor's destruction with our lives, as the explosion caused sector-wide desolation. People were without their transportation, homes, water, or power. But I was feeling pretty tired, so I just needed to get home as soon as possible. I have had a long day. As we make our way downtown, walking fast, faces pass as I'm homebound. But as I was passing the entertainment district, it seemed one of the loveless actors was having a celebrity crash out, so I was willing to just ignore it and move on with my evening, until I feel all time stop. And there he was, my manipulative ex-boyfriend, Sephiroth, walking towards me. No. Back away, I still have the restraining order! Must have been a stress-induced hallucination. The actor, I guess, felt a kinship and offered me a flower given to her by a fan. Next thing I know, she freaks out, grabs me, and now I see them too. The paparazzi. My god, they were everywhere. The commotion we stir up gets the attention of the Shinra troopers. It was crazy to see how their training really did allow them to ignore all the witnesses that were watching me about to get shot. The actress runs off, paparazzi in tow, and I am left with what was about to become a mass murder scene. As I attempt to escape public execution, I am pinched between 2 convoys. A simple Firaga Magnify spam was enough to deal with everyone until the huntsman arrived. And while I thought that this was going to be quick, an SS said otherwise.
I could do this all day. You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
We had a train to catch, and I'd be damned if I was going to miss it. With the slip properly given, Chapter 2 ends in victory. The Sector 7 slums, our new home. Upon arrival, we are greeted by Master Chief's daughter and bar bookkeeper Tifa. She brought us to our new apartment, and well, bitch did not have my money. At least, not yet. If I agreed to help gather the money tomorrow, I would get my money and an additional reward. The next day, we find some pussy, cats, deal with some pest extermination, twice, fight a god and a bird that clearly needs to go on a diet, put down Old Yeller, and deal with a rat. After a successful day of doing everybody else's chores like I'm one of the stupid kids from Tom Sawyer, Tifa says that we have to change the water filters in our apartments. After taking care of mine, I stop by Tifa's and am very confused as to the change in outfits. Am I helping you clean as well? Hey, let go of my pants! One big misunderstanding later, we arrive back at the bar for Avalanche to discuss bombing the next reactor. Tifa, feeling bad for me, decides to mix up some drinks while I wait. Damn, this shit hits. Whoa. What? Where am I? What happened? And why are all these bodies on the floor? Maybe I should just go and sleep it off. What? Now where am I? Oh no. Apparently the cosplayer found the bodies and is now using it as blackmail against me to help infiltrate a Shinra factory to obtain explosive ingredients. Considering my involvement with killing Shinra troopers anyway, I really should have just taken my chances. The first string of battles goes relatively easy. The hard-edged sword played here by the Berserk's Dragon Slayer was our weapon of choice. By using our Master Elemency Amplify MP Absorption combo along with Hard Edge's Lifesteal for defeating enemies, we are soloing everything that comes our way, gaining MP and HP in the process, until the sweepers arrive. Sweepers are capable of locking me in gunfire if I don't block, which for some reason I am allergic to. While it was somewhat easy when Master Chief was here, fighting them alone required a decent amount of Thundagas and a limit break for accumulation of staggers up to this point. All that was left was the soldier 3rd class, Roche. Friend? According to him, we fought while we were driving motorcycles. You're saying I drank and drove? I deserve to be arrested. But we had a hard mode to beat, so I couldn't afford to get arrested now. According to Assess, Roche now has 142,155 health, so my only choice was to set him on fire. Roche's health was falling at a pretty fast rate, but by the time his health was at 1/3 left, my allergies kicked in. And just like that, no one is ever going to want to play Elden Ring Night Ring with me again.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
For a split second, I stopped blocking and took the full force of the consequences of my actions. Our first game over. Alright, time for the run back. One thing I noticed was that up to this point, I was not utilizing Disorder. Like, at all. Considering that Disorder no longer costs ATB, combo potential just went mad. A simple combination of haste, Firaga, physical attacks, and a limit break were enough to take Roche with minimal effort. 2 down, 20 to go. I had earned Roche's respect, so he let us go. Explosive material was successfully obtained, and now we utilize some military training by parachuting down to the slums below. I go to bed and enjoy some well-deserved rest, only to wake up again and realize that the paparazzi have found me again, and they're flying really high in the air. You know, I'm starting to think that maybe they aren't paparazzi. Our goal now was to save Jesse and the Chief at the 7th Heaven Bar. After fighting our way through to them, we come face to face with these specters, with one of them being especially enigmatic. By staggering the other specters, the main one becomes pressured. A couple stagger periods later, they escape. But not before beating the shit out of Jesse, like, god damn! The specters managed to Yamcha Jesse's ankle. With one person down, Avalanche's next bombing run has suffered a major hiccup. Fortunately, I like money and killing, so I was immediately hired to replace her. A good thing too, considering that shit went south within 5 minutes of boarding the train. We've been played, and this train is too narrow to swing this giant compensation of an appendage. Our best chance was to jump out of our moving train and reach the reactor on foot. We make it most of the way with minimal issues until we reach the end of the track where 2 flame troopers and 2 sentry turrets are waiting. And it's here that the enemy's increased health nearly gave me another game over. The turrets dish out a lot of damage on every missile hit, but flame troopers have more sustained damage. Before I could even react, Cloud and Tifa were dead, and the Chief needed to make a tactical retreat. And that's why he is our designated support who stays in the backline. First, we revive Cloud and then Tifa, as the cure materia also doubles as the revive materia in exchange for losing regen as a spell. Cloud having Element C Magnify allows us to constantly prevent the enemy from attacking, and we hit Thundaga and Firaga back to back on all the enemies, thus saving our precious game overs. But the pain was just beginning, as the Crab Warden was our next roadblock. Before this boss fight, I ensure that Tifa has Lightning Element C on her attacks, as she will be our main attacker on the Crab Warden's legs. You see, the Crab Warden has over 360,000 health. Honestly, it's gotten to the point now where I think knowing the enemy's health hurts me even more. The Crab Warden takes reduced physical damage but is weak to lightning damage. Tifa's Overpower does not need ATB to use in this mod, meaning we can bust out around 1200 damage on its limbs every 1.5 seconds. Now, Crab Warden has a fair amount of AoE attacks, which include a flamethrower and an electric charge around itself and on the train tracks in later phases. And it's here that one of Remix's flaws with its companions really rears its ugly head. Remake companions have what I like to call clanker brain. Let's take Aerith and Barret as an example, characters who fight best from a distance. This allows them to be targeted less and avoid damage. And yet, they will move closer to the enemy even though their range is dozens of meters back. Aerith will constantly move away from her wards, and all companions would rather block an attack as opposed to moving away from it, with certain exceptions being with moves that cannot be blocked and or are scripted. In normal mode, this isn't that big a deal, as healing is abundant for materia, items, and benches. In hard mode, your characters could die because you weren't controlling them for 4 seconds. This was fixed in Rebirth thanks to the synergy command commands and AI fixes, but in Remake, keeping them from running into a blunder is a 9-to-5 job. But despite their rampant clanker brain, I managed to break some limbs with overpower spam, and staggering opens up his generator, allowing for Thundaga spam and Tifa's stagger increase combo involving Unyielding Spirit being at max, Rise and Fall, Omni Strike, crushing blows with whirling uppercut to build ATB. We end the fight with a Dolphin Blow Limit Break, which staggers the crab, leading to max damage double Thundagas on the generator. 3 bosses down, 19 to go. With Chapter 5 finished, we then move on to Chapter 7, which begins with a sneaky—
Hey, what about Chapter 6?
What about Chapter 6? It's the worst part of the game and doesn't even have a boss. It has no side quests and a summon that I already got on my first playthrough. Chapter 6 can suck my Buster Sword. Moving on! With Chapter 5 finished, we then move on to Chapter 7, which begins with us sneaking into Reactor 5. Shinra has apparently evacuated the reactor, meaning less people to kill. I'm starting to think I have a problem. After testing the local clanker durability, we arrive at the Mako Pump Core. The explosive now has a remote detonator, so now we don't have to worry about leaving within a time limit. But to our surprise, it was another trap. But how? How did they know we were coming? God damn it, Master Chief. By order of the Shinra Company, we have been sentenced to death. Our executioner, the Airbuster. But considering that it is still receiving its ammunition, that gives us prime opportunity for some sabotage. Along the way, we take away from the Airbuster's arsenal, taking away 3 AI cores to reduce its speed, 2 big bomber shells, and 1 M unit because it was the tutorial and I didn't have a choice. With the proper sabotage committed, we leave the reactor to face our executioner. The Airbuster comes in at a whopping 352,545 health, and we have 21.5 minutes to reduce it to 0. After 6 minutes, we manage to get him into his final phase, where pain is all that awaits me. One thing that is established in the second phase is that the Airbuster can release blue lasers from its fingertips. If not blocked, they can stun you. And what am I allergic to?
No, 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 no. Wait.
This first battle was a bust from the get-go. For starters, I still had Magnify Elemency, which is borderline useless. Except when his arms were detached, Magnify would be better suited to being paired with Cure, Haste, or Barrier. Speaking of Cure, Tifa didn't have it. Adding on to that, the Airbuster has so much health, staggering was a requirement. So when the bastard gets staggered away from the bridge we're on, the Chief is the only person that can do damage without feeding into our precious MP reserves for healing and rezzing, which also means that Tifa couldn't increase stagger damage. But the biggest issue is Tank Buster, a beam that does massive damage and at 1/8 of the Airbuster's health is fired twice. And just when I thought a catastrophe would be capable of pressuring the Airbuster out of it, we get hit mid-Infinity's End, get hit again immediately after, and then the Chief gets tank busted, sending us back to the game over screen. Attempt 2 went by a lot smoother after some adjustments. We give Tifa a Time Magnify combo to ensure that we always have ATB building. Cloud also has a Cure Magnify because health is like gum. If one person needs it, then everyone wants it. Also, Tifa has the Parry Materia. This allows us to juke the Tank Buster's line of fire more consistently. Whenever Tank Buster is about to come out, we switch to Tifa, make sure it's targeting us, and move around.
Fast as fuck, boy.
We also utilize Thundaga more effectively by using it every so often for damage and pressure, but more as a use to stun the Airbuster from doing things that will hurt. Couple that with Thundaga infused weapons and a Bahamut summon near the amount of health we died last time, and the Airbuster is destroyed. It busts all over the bridge, leaving Cloud hanging on for dear life. The Chapter 7 ending with us falling into the slums below, I can take solace knowing that 4 bosses have already met their end. After falling hundreds of feet to the ground below, I am saved by divine providence and a bed of flowers more comfortable and impact resilient than an Assassin's Creed haven. Upon waking up, I am met by none other than Aerith, the Witch of the Church. Now, I'm not a religious man, but if someone looks like a witch, I'd rather not risk associating with her in case there actually is a god. But before I'm able to run for my life, Shinra troopers and a redhead with a baton burst in. The redhead, Reno, is with the Turks, the keepers of Shinra's dirtiest laundry. They are here to take the witch away, which I was willing to allow, but then Reno questions my veteran status. Yeah, I can't let that shit slide. Viraga Spam got rid of the ads, and all that was left was Reno. Now, Reno is not difficult, just annoying. Literally, being capable of flash stepping like an anime character makes being aggressive against him a strategy in futility. Reno has no elemental weaknesses in Remake as opposed to his Rebirth counterpart. You can pressure him by avoiding his fuss attacks, which makes him lose balance, or landing consistent strikes on him. Now, I did not know at the time that you can dodge into him, which triggers a unique animation, so I spent the next 5.5 minutes dodging EM shots and countering with Punisher stance. Regardless, I can add Reno to the defeated boss list. But just as I was about to deliver the finishing blow, those damn specters showed up again, blocking my kill. And you can bet that I will be reporting them for sabotaging my game. But what's done is done, and the witch is not feeling safe and would like to leave. Considering the environment we're in, I'd have to agree. After some roof hopping and slumming it with the fiends in the slums, boo! We arrived safely in the Sector 5 slums main town. To my surprise, everyone loves the witch. Mind control? Maybe charity work? In this economy? She's up to something. After ensuring Aerith got home safely, she then tells me that by following her request to escort her, I am now her dog. I'm fucking what? Woof. She said that she will guide me back to Sector 7 if I'm a good boy. To say that walking around like this was humiliating would be an understatement. And yet, being collared kind of turns me on. I could be a good boy. Whatever, I had no choice in this matter, so as per my contract, it involves picking flowers from the local orphanage and saving kids of said orphanage from fiends and robots who only activate when I'm around. I'm sure there were other things that I needed to do, but I'm also sure I've done enough, and that this won't come back to bite me in the ass. On our way back to Aerith's cottage, we are met with another Turk encounter, the rudest of the Turks, Kiryu Kazuma. Kiryu was a former Yakuza and was unhappy with my treatment towards Reno. So, for the sake of his honor, his hands needed to be thrown. Now, shitty fanfic that I'm spewing out aside, I bet some of you are thinking that I would struggle against him, given his history. And to that I say, get wrecked, you damned fool, easiest damn boss in the game. Kiryu here is weak to wind damage. Arrow is a material that I haven't really used up to this point minus a few inconsequential enemies. In this mod, Arrow is its own separate materia, and the level 1 version is free to use, both from ATB and MP, which makes it very useful to use when paired with MP absorption. So guess what got spammed? Kiryu may have lost, but he wasn't one to just give up, but he is someone to go where he is called. One phone call and a helicopter arrival later, he was gone. Wow, what a day. Some actual rest was needed, so after my feeding, it was time for bed. That night, I had visions of, well, I don't know what. Some blonde guy with the same name as me and a boy with a key? Well, that's just impractical. I wake up wondering if any of this is for real or not. But I needed to get back to Sector 7. But as a mercenary, I'm as stealthy as I am deadly. Ah, shit. Okay. I think I'm in the clear. Before I left, I grabbed an old soldier uniform. It was a little big, but fit me rather well. It helps that it seems the witch's magic has a range because my dog ears and collar are gone as well. Should be a straight shot to Sector 7 now.
Oh.
You know, looking like a dog is actually fitting for my situation, because I certainly feel like a bitch. To get to Sector 7, we have to either get through Sector 6 Wall Market or take a collapsed highway there. I wanted to go through Wall Market, so we went through the damn highway. Now that we've reached the Sector 7 gate, I am officially free. But because I can't have something end without some other BS beginning, we find Tifa dressed, for lack of a better term, hoary, in the back of a chocobo wagon. She's off to see the one in charge of Wall Market, Don Corneo. The Don is trouble, so leaving Tifa alone with him while she's looking like this is a serious cause for alarm. And considering that my exit just closed, might as well just check it out. Now, Aerith is not allowed in Wall Market ever since the last witch burning, so we needed to disguise ourselves. It's a good thing cosplay is apparently not given a second thought, like San Diego during Comic-Con. So we cosplay as Jill Warwick from FF16 and Cyan Garamond from FF6. I know Aerith has a Terra Brantford mod, but for some dumb reason I just can't figure out why it would not work for me, so deal with this.
Hey, Future Gray here. After looking at the mod page again, I realized I was missing the Ordinary Dress Aerith mod to accompany it, so that's why it wasn't working.
Oops. After consulting the local stable boy, we head towards the Don's humble abode, only to find that women only are allowed inside. The Don is looking for a new wife. Recommendation from the Don's agents are needed to participate in the audition. The local stable boy, Chocobo Sam, the massage parlor owner, Madam M, and the owner of the Honey Bee Inn, Andrea Rodeo, or Anyan Kunyan, according to the Japanese dub. A recommendation with Chocobo Sam was a bust, as he pulled a Harvey Dent on a coin toss. We then try Onion and find out he's booked for the next 3 years. Can you imagine if Jesus was this busy?
Jesus, please, heal me, oh great healer.
Yeah, take a number, I'm busy. Our only hope now is Madam M. She runs a local hand massage parlor and is very reluctant to help. But she began singing a different tune when she felt the firmness of my girthy penis. Hands. My hands. Add a hefty price for her services on top of that, and well... Finally, some relief. Madam M agrees to help, provided that we are her representatives in the Don Corneo Coliseum fight. Most of the fights are inconsequential until the final match, Cutter and Sweeper. Now, in retrospect, I probably made this fight slightly harder than it needed to be. I opted for dealing with Sweeper first because pain is what I live for. You see, Cutter is a little bitch who sprays a mist that silences you if you don't block it, and I've already made my allergies very clear to you. Also, Cutter's buzzsaws can be targeted for easy pressure and also reduces his moveset if both are destroyed. So yeah, obviously Sweeper should be the priority. It was rough, but once Aerith's Limit Break Planet's Protection was activated, which nullifies physical damage, the Clanker duo couldn't touch us, and was shortly defeated. Now comes the actual challenge, the Hell House. With the housing market being so bad, is it weird to think that I can make this house work if the price is right? When it comes to the Hell House fight, I don't even bother checking the HP. I already know it's a ton, and knowing the actual number won't make this fight any less of a slog. Now this fight is where the mod is actually more in our favor. Hell House shifts elemental affinities during the fight. In base game, materia slots are limited, so optimizing usually falls under Cloud and Aerith, splitting the elemental materia and hoping they had enough ATB to use the appropriate materia when it was needed. With this mod, both Cloud and Aerith can utilize all elemental damage, but I also had forgotten that Hell House spits out tomberries, which, if they're not dispatched of properly...
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
So yeah, tomberries are complete assholes.
I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
Doom and Gloom is an insta-kill, and because they're slow, they can just stun you with Scourge, leaving you defenseless. The best method I've come to find is Firaga to keep them pressured. The explosion is enough to shoot them in the air, and then you just pile on damage when they're staggered. Luckily, tomberries during the Hell House fight do not have as much health as they normally would on their own. But while easier to kill, you have to keep a constant pressure on them. Nothing else matters until they are dead. Every time they come out, my response is, and always is,
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to piss on his ashes.
After a game over that could have easily been avoided, it was time to lock in. Haste became a must. This fight relies on magic, so not having ATB at nearly any point puts us at a severe detriment, either from the tomberries or Hell House's renewed hospitality. Parry also works really well when dealing with hospitality. It completely nullifies the sucking, and does well with chair salvo as the chairs home in on characters. So constantly moving while ensuring minimal damage is invaluable to avoid being stunned. Using magic pressures Hell House the most, so having MP and weapons that increase magic was the priority. Now for the final phase, we ran into a hiccup. Cutter and Sweeper didn't take kindly to me calling them the Clinker duo, and apparently robots are capable of holding a grudge. I decided to prioritize Cutter this time, but Cloud got KO'd. I then expand Planet's Protection so that the duo can't finish Aerith off, allowing Cloud to be revived. Aerith gets KO'd shortly after, but manages to take Cutter with her. I wish I could tell you how, but Hell House's fat ass was in the way. We finished Sweeper, revive Aerith, and after focusing all attention on Hell House, we delivered the final blow in fantastic fashion. 3-game overs in with just 15 bosses left to go. The Corneo Cup was won, as well as Madam M's approval. While Aerith is getting ready, we are tasked with completing some side quests while we wait, including rectifying some deformation towards the Angel of the Slums, working on my legs and glutes, and beating the crap out of another Clanker. Son of a motherboard! Moving on, it's time to infiltrate Corneo's audition. Unfortunately, I still can't go in with Aerith as her escort, so I need to reconvene with her and come up with a plan.
お待たせ。ラウドも頑張ってくれたのに。頑張って
I'm sure there were other things that I needed to do, but I'm also sure I've done enough, and that this won't come back to bite me in the ass. We don't have time to be pointing fingers, Aerith. We have to do something else. Well, that something else came in the form of Anyan Kunyan taking an interest in me. As one of the three, perhaps he can help, but only if I impress him by dancing. As embarrassing as this is, at least Aerith is also embarrassed because of her stupid dress. Aw, come on! Anyan's approval achieved. As a reward, we are given the means to enter Corneo's mansion. The approval and the disguise. We infiltrate Corneo's place, get drugged, and meet up with Tifa. From there, we are lined up to be chosen as Corneo's bride. I thought Tifa was a shoo-in, but I guess Corneo has a fetish for tsundere women. But I'm no typical tsundere. I'm a dummy mommy. Tifa and Aerith bring me my gear, and Corneo must now accept the fact that he is gay.
You are gay.
We press him for information by threatening his genitals, and he reveals that Sector 7 plate support has a critical flaw. It can be detached, and Shinra needs to do some maintenance. There's not a moment to waste, so Corneo wastes our time by dropping us into the sewers below. We survived, but that smell is awful. Ugh. How can this get any worse? Ah yes, someone's pig that was flushed down the toilet is here to greet us. Abzu is an incredibly fast tank of a boss, and with the exception of his triple charge attack, he, like most enemies, will always prioritize attacking the player, making Tifa our go-to for this fight. Her parry makes her slide on the ground far faster than her base run speed, and during single charges and pounce, we need that ability to juke Abzu's goofy ass. And if I forget to switch to her before the pounce, Aerith was ready with a dual cast Firaga to stop the pummeling. With Abzu being weak to fire, we aim for his horns for better pressure. We also pair basic elemency with elemental for fire affinity on Tifa, since she'll be maximizing stagger percentage increase. Now, I fully acknowledge that I should have equipped poison materia and accessories to prevent getting poisoned every 30 seconds, and having Ifrit as a summon would also have been useful here. But to that, I say, I forgot. After about 11 minutes of rinse and repeating of the strategy, Abzu is defeated, and Volume 7 of the Way of the Fist has been acquired. Yes, we are now in territory where I can actually track what quests and boss need to be done. Abzu cleared the way, and now getting to Sector 7 is our only priority. After wandering through the sewers, we learn that the Department of Sanitation either hasn't been doing anything, or they are doing their best but are severely underpaid, considering this place is akin to the depths leading into Blighttown. And to be honest, I would take Blighttown over the train graveyard. Ghosts, vermin, and the slowest part in the game were next in our list of torture methods to break my psyche. The Turks and Shinra have already arrived at the Sector 7 pillar, so going slow is the last thing we wanted. So naturally, we have two bosses to block our way. The first is Ghoul, a giant ghost made up of dead children that can use the Force to hit us with pipe.mp3 sound effects. Now, Ghoul is actually a pretty straightforward fight. Its only gimmick is that it will cycle between physical and magical negation. The only hard part is making sure that when we use magic, the terrain doesn't get in our way, and that I don't get fucked over by the phase change invincibility during our limit break. I failed at that. The same strategy to our fight with Abzu was utilized here, and it was incredibly effective since Ghoul's HP is significantly lower than even Scorpion's Sentinel. Yet it took almost as long as the Abzu fight due to me being rather passive. I guess having 4 game overs already with harder bosses on the way had me rather nervous. Regardless, our carefulness pays off as I defeat Ghoul with minimal issues. The Sector 7 pillar is just over the horizon, but we live in a world of opposites. Aerith cared for children. She was a good witch, which would mean there was also a bad witch. In order to free these captive souls, this witch needed to burn, or freeze, because it's weak to ice for some fucking reason. Now, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I don't know this fight. I hardly ever do this chapter, and I forgot a lot of Elagor's moves, including his reflect spell. The amount of damage I was receiving was enough to hurt me in real life, and if I couldn't use magic, how do I hit him when he's flying? Well, after a quick peek at a boss guide, I realized I just needed to stop being a timid bitch and punch it! As for the reflect, all that was needed was a simple dispel, and Elagor was again subject to complete and utter Blizzaga arcane ward spam. Problem is, I forgot to equip it. Regardless, I was determined to beat this boss without having to reset this fight. I utilized more of Tifa's whirling uppercut parry cancel combo, which I kept forgetting to use up at this point. I know I've been forgetting a lot, but it was like 11 PM when I played, so my brain was just not working too well. One strategy I would also use is I would purposefully have a character get KO'd. You see, Elagor has the ability to silence characters and cast Reflect on them, but if KO'd, the status effect is lifted upon revive. Utilizing all these strategies, Tifa ends the fight with Dolphin Blow, gaining Way of the Fist Volume 8, securing another boss's defeat and closing Chapter 11 with a stylish and powerful somersault. Over in Sector 7, the Pillar has become quite the party, and as the guest of honor, I wasn't going to keep them waiting any longer. Wedge drops in to say hello.
It's funny because he's fat.
Though I was happy to see him, I couldn't help but get this urge to see his lifeless body on the pavement. Sorry, too many Dark Ridge playthroughs in Baldur's Gate 3. I fight my way up the Pillar. Charlie Sheen was in bad shape when I arrived, as he informs us that life just isn't agreeing with him today.
I expose people to magic. I expose them to something they're never otherwise going to see in their boring, normal lives, and I gave that to them. I may forget about them tomorrow, but they'll live with that memory for the rest of their lives, and that's a gift.
He invades my personal space and dies. Will he be missed? Who knows? I guess we'll have to watch the new documentary on Netflix to find out. Second to go was our favorite 2B cosplayer, Jessie. Apparently, she got too into the cosplay method because she decided to try 2B's self-destructibility on herself. Despite the commitment, I have to unfortunately give the cosplay an 8 out of 10. I'm sorry, but the hair is not a bob cut, and I see her skirt is still on after the explosion. I would say better luck next year, but I can't use Phoenix Downs in hard mode, and MP is not allowed in cutscenes. Rip. Meanwhile, Aerith rushes the Seventh Heaven bar and makes a deal with the leader of the Turks, Sung, to ensure young Marlene's safety. Back at the Pillar, we make our way to the top to find Master Chief still protecting what he calls his Pillar of Autumn, which leads us into another skirmish between Reno and Kiryu. Here, the fate of all of Sector 7 would be decided. This fight was easily my worst boss attempt in this entire challenge. I'm not as familiar with this fight as Chapters 10, 11, and 12 had the least amount of needed replay for completion purposes, as I had done in the past. No quests, secrets, or choices that affect later chapters. They are the most straightforward chapters, so I never needed to dedicate time to them. As a result, Reno's moveset during this feels the most foreign, so attacks and their hitboxes were never memorized, thus leading to a lot of unnecessary damage. Thank Hamaguchi for the Chief's lifesaver ability, or another game over would have most likely been added to the counter. My strategy for this was to strictly hit the thing until it died. And as luck would have it, that was the only strategy that was needed. But our victory was short-lived. I've learned a lot in my life, and one thing that was taught to me by the great band They Might Be Giants when watching the opening of Malcolm in the Middle is that life is unfair. The Spectres arrive to prevent us from stopping Kiryu activating the plate separation on the main console. They escape as Sung of the Turks calls on Zoom to gloat about victory and saying how he stole our girl as well. The plate was coming down, but thanks to Chief's quick thinking, we use a zipline to escape Sector 7's destruction. When all is said and done, rubble was all that surrounded us. Yeah, just let it out, man. You run into Sephiroth again, who had put on way too much makeup. What the fuck? Check on Marlene at Aerith's mom's cottage and head back to Sector 7 to help with relief efforts, like my name is FEMA. So basically, we do very little. We do follow a cat that leads us to Wedge, as well as a grate that would be an OSHA violation. The team is now split up. Luckily, Master Chief thrives in crisis, and he is now never without a weapon. We meet up with Tifa and make our way through what I can only describe as kill it all with fire the facility. Cloud is nowhere in sight, but we do find Wedge, and we also find some shadowy figures. Okay, all jokes aside, I didn't add the music in post. The mod for this also plays the battle version of Another Side from KH 358 by 2 days. It's actually really cool. Orgasm aside, we were in danger. These creatures are not from this world. With the fiends that we've been fighting up to this point, it's safe to assume that Shinra has been experimenting on these shadowy creatures. While large in number, they are somewhat easy to beat. That was until the big one showed up. I wish I could say this fight was simple and clean, but with multiple shadows showing up to empower this failed experiment, and my attacks honestly not doing a lot of damage, this fight was more a battle of attrition than actual skill. I didn't have assess on Chief or Tifa, but if I were to put a number on this boss's health, I'd put it at too much for what is a C boss on the tier list. It took some time, but it did eventually go down, meaning the Sharpshooter's Companion Volume 8 was ours as Chief and Tifa did all the work, and Cloud cuts in with a single slice and acts like he contributed. One last fire in the hole was enough to send this abomination back to whatever dark hole it came from. With Wedge on shoulder, we leave the facility and call it a day, knowing that another boss can be checked off the list. And so begins a new day, and I'm feeling confrontational. Shinra has my witch, and I'm gonna get her back. The best way to get to Shinra, though, seems to be through Don Corneo. But before we pay him a visit, we have quests and volumes to obtain. And here is where I must now face the consequences of my inactions. While finding the runaway chocobos, helping children with their dead parents, and fighting in place of the most annoying character in FF7's extended chronology, we did not do the Angel of the Slums side quest back in Chapter 8. So even if we did all the other side quests, we would be one short. Regardless, we still have a behemoth to defeat. And no, I did not have fun. The Type 0 behemoth counters all magic until his horns have been destroyed. The only way to destroy the horn directly is to destroy the upper and lower body first and attack the horns. After some time, if the horns aren't destroyed, the upper and lower body will be regenerated at full. Rinse and repeat until the horns or the behemoth are dead. But with the increase in health, I knew I was going to be here a while. But surprisingly enough, I was fighting my companion's clanker brain more than the fucking behemoth. This giant bastard has attacks with a giant radius. When it rampages, the attacks are larger, faster, and more frequent, so giving it a wide berth is the best option until it's done with its temper tantrum.
So guess what the clankers did?
Even after it did its last desperation attack, they still ran in. Despite the clanker's best efforts to throw my run, another boss bites the dust. Don Corneo has retreated to the sewers like the fat rat he is. This is revealed to us by Leslie, the best character in the Turk side story, who was done so dirty with this next bullshit game loop. Leslie, I'm so sorry. Abzu Juniors arrived to ruin our straightforward plan of just moving on to the next boss fight. Firaga Magnify spam may have gotten us through the fights faster, but forced walk-in corridor sections will always be the reason that speed running this game would be so annoying. Get Leslie's necklace back from the little bastards. He then gets an audience with Don Corneo so he can get us topside. The Don declines. Well, time for boss number 14. The second Abzu fight is not too different in moveset from the first one. An issue that we do run into is terrain. Abzu Juniors are all over, and Magnify will target all within a vicinity, but will not move around terrain to reach it. Now we could just ignore them, but these attention-starved little tykes need a hug, so they will glomp you and stun you out of whatever you are doing, especially in vital moments. And with no invincibility frames after being hit, it's possible to get stun locked. The goal was to have Tifa prioritize them with Fyra to save on MP, which also does pressure them. Once they are staggered, they die immediately. They serve as great things to hit to get some more ATB. I nearly fumbled the whole fight though, by placing myself right in line with a backwater blast, but thanks to Barrett's reprieve, he clings on with 1 HP. We res Tifa, who then immediately cashes in that limit break stimulus, as Master Chief focuses on getting his shields back up and resing Cloud. We managed to whittle him down to low health and made a sudden realization that I have not been using the stop on stagger strategy to get the most damage out of a stagger period. Well, better late than never. Grappling hooks received and no additional game overs. We say farewell to the slums and begin our ascent to Shinra HQ. Fight after fight, grapple after grapple, we continue pressing forward to reach the top side. Our final push comes in the form of a flying bot with Gatling guns and access to a Helldiver's orbital laser. Now, full disclosure, this boss can suck my nads. The Valkyrie has a bunch of bullshit that makes it very difficult to deal with. In phase 2, it shits out pools of sleep pus and coats itself in a shield. The only way to destroy the shield is to lure the Valkyrie into the orbital laser explosion. The problem is that I cannot figure out what makes this thing actually fire.
Come on, kill me, I'm here! Come on, do it now, kill me!
And when it does, you have 1 second to escape its radius or 5 game overs and we are back trying a new strategy. The Chief would be the one attacking the most due to his long range. Elemental Arrow does add some well needed additional damage, but the shield was still a big problem. Over the fight I realized that while it wouldn't do much damage, Aroa and Eriga would disrupt the Valkyrie enough to perhaps hold in place for the laser. Little by little, we managed to break the shield and pour in the damage with Master Chief landing the final blow. Next up, the Shinra Electric Power Company headquarters. So at this point, the normal enemies were a bit too easy, so I decided to put in the ultimate enemies in the Shinra building mod to make it a bit more fun. It wasn't. Not only did we get armor magic troopers from the Integrate DLC, but also bloodhounds and bombs in one fight, and we also get another armor magic trooper, another bloodhound, 2 wayward wolves, 2 huntsmen, and 2 full power tomberries in another. The strategy was as follows. For the first fight, we were just caught off guard. The Bloodhounds were the first to be killed because they don't have a gimmick. Cloud and Tifa go down first, and it's here we utilize the enemy's lack of animation from walking up and down terrain. Master Chief is able to retreat, gather MP, and gain ATB. We get Cloud up for some well-needed haste and utilize Catastrophe to stagger and destroy the bombs. All that's left are the Magic Troopers, which we dispose of by simply treating them like our personal punching bags. Once defeated, we immediately equip Steel in case of another Magic Trooper, as well as some revival earrings. In the next fight, we focus on the Wolves and the Hounds as they would interrupt a lot of our combos. Next on the list was stealing the Magic Trooper's core once we had an opening. With the Magic Trooper now in constant pressure state, it doesn't take much to stagger and finish him off. As we turn our attention to the Huntsman with Firaga and focus moves to stagger, we make a point not to touch the Tomberries. If you don't focus or target them, they will not retaliate with Scourge, and the Chef's Knife is relatively easy to avoid if he's too close. With the Huntsman now down, we then focus on each Tomberry one at a time. We unload everything on the first Tomberry by staggering, casting Stop, and using all of our limit breaks accumulated during the fight because ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. We even managed to stun the next Tomberry after a stagger period from using Doom and Gloom, allowing us to finish the battle with only one more game over. And despite the massive amount of explosions in this garage, we still managed to sneak into Shinra HQ. Now, as we are in Shinra headquarters, we needed to be able to walk through the facility without raising any alarms. Luckily, we came prepared. I still had that soldier uniform from Aerith's place. Our Turk uniform was left behind at the receptionist desks. Wonder how that got there. And we managed to buy an entire outfit at the HQ gift shop. And so Master Chief revealed himself not to be John 117, but Barrett Wallace. I've been working with a cosplayer this whole time? I know some of you are wondering how could I have not known, but in my defense, he never took off his helmet. Disguises acquired, we get our hands on a key card that takes us to the highest levels and make our way through the guided tour of Shinra HQ. Sephiroth! Okay, now I'm really starting to see him everywhere I go. Despite our disguises, we still manage to get the attention of the mayor of Midgar. He's also a hippie sympathizer and is an ally for the cause, so he will be providing guy-in-the-chair duties involving keeping cameras off of our faces. Little by little, we make our way up towards the Shinra Tower and finally run into the most disgusting human being to ever live, Professor Hojo. We follow him to his lab and force him to tell us where Aerith is, and Hojo responds by releasing what I can only describe as Cthulhu's bowel movement. Now this a-hole disperses poison faster than Randy Pitchford drops crash out tweets. Because I need health to live, we avoid poison by equipping Star Pendant and equip Poisona. Or at least that's what I would say if I wasn't just running in wanting this challenge to be over and forget to equip it. Regardless, this boss isn't too difficult. Specimen H0512 has over 250,000 health and no direct weaknesses. As such, our objective is just to simply pressure, stagger, pile damage through limit breaks, and stagger percent increase. Repeat until dead. With it now dead, that leaves me with only 6 bosses left. We find Aerith along with Hojo, where he made Aerith wear a Sailor Moon outfit? Oh, this perverted bastard needs to die. But before we do that, we get stuck with 2 huntsmen and 2 bombs. After disposing them, Hojo begins to recognize us. Finally, some answers. But then the Spectres came and ruined my catharsis by taking Hojo away. We get Aerith out and are met with 2 armored Magic Trooper armors, with no steel materia equipped. God damn it! Moving right along, we take Aerith and are met with a Hellhound. As it turns out, he's a good boy, known as Red 13. The gang is now back together, so now we can focus on a Oh, my head. What's happening? What the hell am I seeing? Those creatures again? Hormonal teenagers? I need to know more, but it's too much. What happened? Why am I back in the church? Ah! Wait, why am I back in chapter 8? And why does my face hurt? Oh no. I see what's going on. You see, this challenge requires that all transcripts are collected, and Squall and Renoa are here to allow us to do just that. Our objective is to complete the Angels of the Slums side quest along with the other ones, just to be safe, make slightly different choices in Chapter 9 to grant us new quests, and then jump to Chapter 14 to the quest I didn't get to before, starting with defeating Reno again. I realized during the fight that the Gunblade has a up hitbox, so it'll just randomly whiff attacks. After that pitiful display, we then switch to the Twin Blade for more reliable attacks. We do all the side quests in the slums, which includes the Angel of the Slums side quest. With that done, we simply make our way to Chapter 9 and do specific things to ensure a different set of quest lines. We say Tifa is in great shape, we tell the Howler no thanks regarding spending the night, get assaulted for only paying 100 gil for a hand massage, which was unnecessary. I've just never seen it before because I'm usually a baller with money in the bank, and play Chocobo Sam's stupid coin flip game, which we didn't do last time. After beating Hell House again, we leave Renoa with Madam M and do a different set of quests more similar to the original Final Fantasy VII. Upon completion, we fight 2 bombs instead of Buzzsaw McGoogle over here, and by pairing the Fire Elemency with Elemental in our armor slot, any fire damage towards us is absorbed. We meet up with Renoa, participate in some Dance Dance Revolution with Andrea, as this is the English dub, and are rewarded with one of the best images I have ever seen. This modder, Cypher Almacy FF8, is actually the GOAT. The attention to detail here with Renoa and Squall along with the hair being KH1 Leon is true perfection. Unfortunately, his other mods like Quistis' Tifa and others were not out as of the recording of this video. But when I play through the game again in anticipation for FF7 Remake Part 3, which will be the resurgence of my Twitch channel, I'm putting them in. Anyway, we finished the chapter and immediately skipped to Chapter 14. Alongside Morrigan from Darkstalkers and the patron saint of prostitutes himself, Saint Nick, we rushed to complete all remaining quests, which included fighting another f***ing Tallberry! We even gathered around Corneo's remaining funds to help rebuild Sector 7 and grab the Turks theme for the jukebox. All transcript gained, Squall's work here is officially done. I then wake up in Aerith's old room. Disguise is dropped, we need to get out of Shinra HQ. Here, I learned that Aerith is actually a Cetra of the planets and that the Spectres are actually feelers? Or at least that's the direct Japanese translation. They are in charge of ensuring that the game is played the way it was supposed to, and with all these different mods installed, they are really pissed off at us. But at the very least, we look very good. Wedge and the mayor come on the TV and tell us that evac is on the roof, so I take this oversized yet strangely familiar blade that looks like a key. On our way, we run into Chadley again, who wants us to suffer fighting super bosses. And I refuse. Guys, this video is way too long already. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll play through the bosses and make a video about it. Right now, I just want to take a nap. Speaking of which, I'm feeling a migraine coming. And so, the truth comes out. The shadowy figures are actually heartless. Sephiroth's outfit and the truth I've been running from, I too am from Kingdom Hearts. But it's almost impossible for a man to take the truth calmly. So, one thing that I added to this mod was the ability to also play and control Red 13. As Heartless began attacking me, Red decided to help, so we gave the mod a try, thinking he would control similarly to the Rebirth version. I was wrong. Basic attack and dodge with no control on any special attacks. At least we're immortal. So anyway, we work between 2 teams, the Chicks and the Dicks, to make our way back to the top. A lot of nothing happens until Hojo wants us to play with his toys, which we destroy with extreme prejudice. Chasing Hojo puts us face to face with the Brain Pod. Because its entire gimmick is poison, we make Cloud and Barret immune and proceed to bash the jar's brains out. As we proceed forward, Red gets knocked in a skirmish to the same level the girls are. We switch to them because Red is alone and needs our help. We saved him? The girls and Red head towards the center console as Cloud and Barret face off against the Swordipede. While it has no elemental weakness, level 3 tier spells seem to stun it. It pressured pretty easily and had such little health that I was genuinely concerned if the game was still on hard mode. My worries are put to rest as we quickly switch to Tifa and Aerith and secure our victory, giving us the Telluric Scriptures Volume 12. We reach the top of Shinra HQ and have a chat with President Shinra. Sephiroth then saves Barret by killing President Shinra, and then kills the only black guy. Okay, my ex has gotten away with way too much. It was time for him to pay. But of course, he hides behind his mom. Which was fine, because Genova can catch these hands too. Genoa Dreamwalker has no gimmicks to really make this boss fight a breeze, so our tried and true method of just utilizing what everybody is good at was the method that worked. We simply keep everyone hasted and topped off on health, and we're ready to go. And I immediately chased Sephiroth to the tower just for him to pull some Kingdom Hearts ass shit. Unfortunately, I didn't want to test if fall damage was truly discontinued in this timeline, so going after him was just impossible. Oh, and Barrett's fine, by the way. But the hippies pull through and arrive with a helicopter to safely transport us out of... At this point, disappointment is just the default feeling right now. With Sephiroth offering President Shinra, Rufus is now the president of the company. The problem is, I'm not a fan of Nepo babies, so Barrett and the others are told to get out of here because I needed to run Rufus's fate. Now, I love this fight because this boss is only as difficult as you make it to be. We haste for continuous ATB and focus on Darkstar. We then use Braver to disrupt Rufus and Darkstar's connection, and once Darkstar is dealt with, Rufus is pretty easy if we punish his reload with a Braver to instantly stagger him, actually making Braver useful for the first time in this mod. We use magic only for healing and haste, and after a bit of time, Rufus is defeated, but gets away. Meanwhile, Barrett, Aerith, and Red run into our next boss fight while Wedge meets with the Feelers. I'm sure it was a great conversation. Arsenal is honestly not the hardest boss, but never underestimate my ability to make my life that much harder. Remember the mod that allowed us to control Red 13? Well, even if we don't get the ability to use any special moves, Red still gets Limit Break Gauge if he is responsible for staggering Arsenal, which would be cool if he even had a Limit Break. Now, this wouldn't be that big a deal until we reach the final phase of the fight. The Arsenal begins charging Cry Havoc, an insta-kill blast. While the first one still allows cover to hide behind, it blows the cover away, forcing us to either pass a DPS check or die trying. So we just die, except for the fact that Red 13 is immortal. Now, while I can just spam the attack button for what I would assume would be roughly half an hour, I just decide to take the game over and come in with a new strategy. We needed Barrett to limit break the most for the final phase, so leading up to that point, we pressure Arsenal into Stagger's territory, and then switch to Red to make sure he won't do Stardust Ray and steal the Stagger limit boost, giving Barrett the limit gauge he needs. Arsenal switches weaknesses from fire, ice, lightning, and physical, which we exploit by hiding behind a pillar, casting Arcane Ward, and poking our heads out whenever it's safe to damage it. Once Barrett gets his limit break, we hold on to it until the final phase. With everyone still suffering from Clanker Brain and will run closer to the Arsenal despite them being long-range fighters, I decide not to fight against it and just get up close. While everyone is in their desired positions, we Arcane Ward Thundaga spam while Barrett unleashes Catastrophe. When Arsenal didn't die immediately after the limit break, I began to see a game over screen in my future. Luckily, we managed to get off enough Thundagas to finish the fight just before the beam was unleashed. 2 bosses left with just 3 chances to do it. Escape was the only thing on our minds now. We needed vehicles. It's a good thing I have a key that can open anything. We escape in spectacular fashion and are quickly pursued by Shinra forces. Now, I was unsure if the motorcycle section was required to obtain the transcripts, but as soon as I heard the music, I couldn't resist playing through it. Although I probably should have, because as I was vibing to the tunes, I actually died. That's embarrassing. But after a checkpoint health refill, we managed to elude the police and defeat the motorball. But our victory was short-lived as Sephiroth was at the end of the road to greet us. Feelers, sensing our meeting, arrives to cry out and show us the future that could be. Oh. You're insane. It's too much. Disney would never approve this! By following Sephiroth, who we are may cease to be. We would return into our original selves. But Sephiroth must be stopped. I mean, I can't stop playing this mod unless I do, so with our heads held high, we journey off into the unknown. Oh, what in the PS1 is going on here? Unfortunately, my bewilderment has to be put on hold for a bit, as Darkseid has come to secure Disney's hold on all things Final Fantasy once and for all. We navigate through a semi-scripted section and face off with what are technically our future ops. Whispers of Kadoosh, Roz, and Kazoo. Each of these whispers absorbs an element: fire, lightning, and wind. Best bet for this fight is to equip Blizzard Elemental for some additional damage without worrying about healing any of them. Their attacks are relentless, so we keep Barrett using Lifesaver and ensure his HP is never below half, because one wombo combo from all 3 and he's down. Tifa's overpower is useful as well, providing almost 6 to 7k damage over 3 seconds of use with no cost to ATB. First we defeat Whisper Rubrum, and then Whisper Crocio and Verity. We then split the party with Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith focusing on the 3 Whispers, while Barret and Red wait for their cutscene to start to tear their Heartless apart. Once we arrive to face the 3 Whispers, they merge together to form Whisper Bahamut. Now it gets pressured by tier 3 magic, but it is also so relentless that I can barely have Aerith focus on gaining ATB to use magic. So Tifa ran point, keeping Bahamut distracted enough until she was able to use her Dolphin Blow. Aerith and Cloud followed up with some magic and staggered it enough to finish it off. With the trio back, we summon a Bahamut of our own. One by one, we stagger each of them to do enough damage on the Heartless to where the Whispers will be dismissed for good. Add Plant's protection to make us invulnerable to physical attacks. With minimal effort, it's GG's. With the Heartless defeated, only one stands in our way to victory. The mama's boy that comes packaged with his own theme song, Sephiroth. How come he's not polygonal? So as of me making this video, this mod actually got an update that makes this fight easier by reducing his damage. That wasn't the case when I fought him, where he proceeded to bend me over his knee and beat my ass.
Rem! Do something! Do something, Rem!
Sephiroth has 473,850 HP, and each hit takes away quarters of our health. Immune to everything and only has elemental weaknesses when he uses elemental infusion. And his Octoslash is complete bullshit. I've only been able to dodge this move like twice, and I can only chalk it up to just luck. Millennia's Waterfowl Dance was easier to consistently dodge. My best strategy is to limit break when he strikes in order to avoid damage and hurt him at the same time. Don't have a limit break? Then one person becomes a sacrificial lamb to then be revived when the Octoslash is done. The current objective with this fight is simply survive, which we managed to do until Sephiroth enters his final phase. A countdown has started, and if it reaches 0, Sephiroth will activate Divine Proclamation, which nukes the party. We are now tasked with dodging Shadow Flares that hurt and avoiding his ensnares, as well as Heartless Angel, which drops your health to 1 HP. Despite the odds, we managed to whittle him down enough that one good limit break would finish him. Now, up to this point, there has been nothing that stopped limit breaks. Even cutscenes and phase changes would wait until the limit break ended. And so I ask you, dear viewers, why? Why? Now, I wasn't recording my audio with my microphone as I was playing, but I definitely had my wife very concerned with the amount of yelling into the ether that I was doing. With his health so low and my mind frazzled, I just went completely mindless, blindly attacking him, getting Cloud and Tifa killed in the process. My rage had blinded me so much to the point that I didn't even see him charge a giant slash as I revived Cloud, leading both of us getting hit and dying. I couldn't believe I fumbled that victory that bad. He was a pixel, and I fumbled. All I had to do was cast Firaga again, and the 2 blasts would have killed him. I won't pretend that I was okay. I wanted to get back into the fight, but my spirit was broken. If Dark Souls has taught me anything, it is that while running my head into a brick wall of a boss may work, sometimes it's best to take a step back, collect yourself, and come back with a calm mind. So like, 5 minutes. Gamer Lean was activated, and I was locked in. For the first portion of the fight, we parry around his magic attacks and are meticulous with our strikes. That way we are able to counter his strikes and avoid his Scintilla, which counters mine. Aurelian Onslaught tracks you, so while it is very hard to dodge the first strike, we make sure to dodge the second one. Once Aerith joins the fight, we haste and keep control of Cloud as much as possible while Aerith magic spams behind. When Tifa joins the fight, we control her and utilize her hypermobility. Cloud and Aerith provide damage while Sephiroth is focused on me, and I slide in with some overpowers every so often. Octoslash is still bullshit, but Aerith has MP to spare. Tifa is still our go-to for mobility, and I have her summon Fat Chocobo during the final phase because why not? We are now extra careful around this phase to avoid another fumble and stick to Tifa, the only one capable of escaping the Heartless Angel AoE from its center. After some very careful play and a couple close calls, we won. After an hour between 2 attempts on just this fight, Sephiroth had been thwarted, but his attempts to create the next Kingdom Hearts game are far from over. All 60 manuscripts achieved, 22 bosses defeated, 9 game overs, and roughly 26.5 hours of playtime. The Whispers of the New Ways mod had been completed. If you have a PC and want to give FF7 Remake another try, I genuinely would recommend this mod on a normal playthrough. It really does switch up how you approach encounters and makes combat more fun to engage with. I only recommend hard mode for the sadists, which is why I tried it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you look forward to my next hard mode run. This is Gray Supernova signing off, saying that Heartless Angel was bullshit! The fact that the devs allowed that to be possible goes to show that they wouldn't know what to do with balance if a scale hit them on the head!
Shit.